Hi everyone, it's Chala from Crafting Through the Chaos of Life. Thanks so much for joining me for another video. Today's video is for Scrap and Stamp Canada, and it is for the Random Acts of Cardness challenge that we do every month, where we feature a word and we challenge you to create a card using that word as inspiration. And today's word is furry friends. It's actually two words, but that's okay. We'll let it go this time. And I thought I would use this over the Hedge Henry the Fox stamp set from Craft Consortium. I just love this entire series. There's some different ones. I believe there's hedgehogs and there's something else. I want to say a raccoon, but I will link this stamp over at the Scrap and Stamp blog, which I will leave the link down below. And yeah, so I created this card on my first video, and unfortunately I don't know what happened, but my video didn't turn out, and I enjoyed this process so much. I'm going to do the card again, and I'm also going to do some tweaking to it with some of the foliage and stuff. I know I say foliage. I'm sorry. I noticed I said that on my last video too. It's not foliage, it's foliage. Sorry, that's a really hard word for me to say, but I'm going to be changing these little leaves. Right now they are stamped in Rusty Hinge, which I don't mind. I think that looks great, but I decided I'm going to stamp these instead with some gold embossing, or some Versamark ink and gold embossing, this just to tie in with the gold on this card. So let's get started and make this card together. Alright, so I've gone ahead and prepared some of the pieces already off screen. So this is just almost like a corrugated piece of gold cardstock. I got it from my mom, so I'm not exactly sure where it originates from. Then I have this paper from a Recollections pack, and it is called Give Thanks. I'll just show it to you here. So it's Give Thanks by Rondre Grasses. This is just a beautiful, beautiful fall paper pack. I got it over at Michael's. Same thing with this cardstock. I got this many years ago. It's a Recollections woven, woven cardstock pack. So use the papers that you have. That was kind of my goal. Was I wasn't allowing myself to buy anything new. I had the stamps, and that was the only thing I was allowed to have that was new, because I just fell in love with the fox. But let's get started here on working with our little fox. And I have stamped him with the usual Memento Tuxedo Black ink. This is the ink that you want to use if you plan on Copic coloring, which I'm going to do. Now, as a caveat, I am not the best Copic colorer out there. I'm still learning, and I practice. That's kind of the key, is to practice all the time. So yeah, I don't by any stretch of the imagination purport myself to be an expert in Copic coloring. I just kind of do what works for me. I'm going to zoom in a bit here just so you can see the coloring. And I'm going to start off with this YR24. And I'm just going to, I think I better put on my glasses just so I can see. Sorry guys. Something I'm not still used to is having to put glasses on. I actually have to wear them over top of my contacts. That's how bad my eyesight is getting. But let's go ahead and start using this YR24, and I'm just going to color in this little fox here. Now I want to put a nice thick layer, I don't know if you can really put a thick layer of marker, but a nice layer of this Copic down. I basically want to saturate the cardstock. And the reason why I want to do this is I find that it blends a lot easier between the colors if it's kind of good and wet. And one of the ways you can tell is by turning it over, and you see on the back of your cardstock here that it's kind of starting to seep through. That's when you know it's good and saturated. There's a tiny little piece right here. And then we will do the body. hope everyone's having a great day and that you've enjoyed your weekend. Mine has been really great. I got to spend some time with my mom. She came over for a sleepover, which was nice. I always enjoy spending time with her. And I was doing a bit of journal making while she was doing some knitting, so that was nice. We're both getting ready for a craft fair that's coming up in November in our area, in our community. Alright, getting that nice and saturated. Again, you can tell by turning it over. Okay. Oops, forgot this ear. So I did double stamp the outline of this fox with the memento, and I just used my stamp platform. I found that I needed to do it twice just to get a good solid outline. Alright, the next color we're going to be using is this YR14. Now the great thing about these stamps is they've kind of already put in for you where you want to shade. And that's kind of how I do my shading, is I take a look at what the stamp already has there, and then I go off of that. So I'm really just using the tip of the Copic marker, and I'm just going to kind of flick. So just really light, just flicking that in. Kind of flicking where those little black marks are to kind of give me an idea of the shading. And I'll do the same thing. I'm going to turn my piece here. I'm going to go this way, and I'm doing the same thing on the body and the tail. Just using some light flicking. And just kind of going all over here. And then I'm going to come in with a bit more of an orangier one. And this is YR18. And again, using that real end of the tip there and just lightly flicking. Again, I am not the best Copic colorer, but this is just kind of what works for me. Adding a few little flicks here and there just to give the piece a little bit more dimension. Doesn't look like a lot, but it really kind of brings the image to life when you add these different colors, when you blend them together. Now I'm going to come back with the YR24 again, and I'm just going to blend that all in. Just giving it a good layer. Oops, sorry, I'm probably not on camera for you there. And this just helps to blend in the other colors that I used. I'm going to kind of leave a little bit of a highlight here, because I feel like the sun might be hitting in there. There. That's just some really quick coloring for that. Now for the inside of the ears and the tip of the tail and around his muzzle there, I want to use these two colors here. Hopefully they will show up. Hard. There we go. So I'm going to be using these cool grays, and I'm going to start with this C00, again adding a nice layer of that Copic marker down, just saturating the area of the paper. Now if you didn't use Memento Tuxedo ink when you do Copic coloring, you could have some smearing. And so what you want is, this is a water-based ink, so that is why it does not smudge with the alcohol markers. Whereas if you use something like Let me just grab this here. If you were to use something like this Versa Fine Clair, this is what I usually use for my sentiments. This is a pigment ink, and so it actually reacts with alcohol marker, so you wouldn't want to use something like this. Okay, so again, just getting nice and saturated in these areas, and then I'm going to come in with my C3. I would probably normally use a C2, but my C2 is all dried out. Right now I need to get a refill for it. And again, just using the very tip of the marker and just flicking, just to add a little bit of dimension. Doesn't take much. And again, using these stamp lines just to help me. I like to keep turning my piece, just, you know, you kind of have a special way of, you know, doing your coloring or your flicks that works better in one direction rather than the other, I guess. All right. So you can kind of see in the back here that it was good and saturated. I'm going to go over it one more time with this C00 just to blend it all in. Make it look not so harsh. Almost like scrubbing it a bit. Again, remember, this is what works for me. You might have a different technique that works for you. I'm going to keep this here. I'm going to bring in this RV02. I just want to give him the hint of some kind of little cheekies there. So just really light, just adding some color. Again, I'm going to bring this C00 back and just blend it some more, just to kind of tone down that pink so it's not so harsh. There we go. And there is our cute little fox all colored up. That didn't take long. Now I'm going to just quickly fussy cut him out. This cardstock I am using is just some 110-pound cardstock, and it's actually cardstock that I got from my office. You would not believe this, you guys. I'm not sure if you know this, but by day I am a legal assistant, by night I am a craft goddess. But during the day, my daytime job is I am a legal assistant, and back in the day, we used to use cardstock backers for our files that we would attach the different file materials to. We'd call them backers. And now that most places, including our office, has gone digital with their documents, they had 4 large boxes of this cardstock, you guys. There was 1,500 pieces in each box, and they just gave it to me. They knew I made cards and did crafting, and they gave it to me, and oh my goodness, I was so excited. I had to get my husband to come and help me move them because they are big, heavy boxes. And yeah, needless to say, I am not going to have to buy white cardstock for quite some time. I'm going to be able to make tons and tons of cards. So I am just using some of that, some scraps that I had from leftover card that I had made before. I'm going to zoom out just a tiny bit here so we can see a little bit more of the surface. So there's our cute little guy. What you can do is, if you want, you can take a black marker and make the little features darker if you want. I don't mind the way it is. I think I have it dark enough. So now all we have to do is go ahead and start layering up our card pieces. And I did forget to grab a card base. Let me do that. So this is just an A2 size card that we're going to be using. Bring in my score board. So I bought a whole bunch of 110-pound cardstock, and 120-pound cardstock from Amazon. It's one of my favorites. And I had taken it to my local Staples, and I had them laser cut it down for me, so into these card bases, so that they would just be handy for me. So I can just go ahead and score this at 4 1/4, or the A2 marking. Let's fold this over. There we go. Just use my bone folder just to really press that down. There we go. It's good and burnished down. So now we have our card base ready. So let's go ahead and start layering up. So the first layer we have is this gold. And I'm going to be using my Art glitter glue. This is a great glue, super strong. The only thing is you really have to keep your nozzle clean and clear, and you will want to have a pin or something to put in it right away after each time you're done using it. Otherwise this nozzle clogs. It's easy enough to wash out, but you know, just something to keep in mind. The other thing with this glue is it dries pretty quickly, guys. It is super strong, and so basically once you put your paper down, it's down. You're not going to have a lot of wiggle room like you would with, say, the Lawn Fawn glues or like the Gina K Connect glue. However, with that said, this is my favorite glue, mostly because of this fine precision tip nozzle. I just love how precise it is. Go ahead and put my little pin in there right away. Now let's go ahead and line this up. This cardstock is just beautiful. I don't know where my mom got it, but I am so thankful she gave it to me because it is just perfect for this. Alright, and then our next layer. Again, I've used some rectangle stitched dies, stacking dies to cut these out, and some square ones for these two pieces here. I love this piece here. I guess it's kind of houndstooth. It really reminds me of an old wool skirt that my mom had like in the 70s. It's just, I don't know, as soon as I saw it, I just had like a flashback memory of being a kid and my mom wearing a skirt like that. Alright. Glue up the next layer. Now, I typically would cut another rectangle out of here so that I could save this piece and use it on another card. Because really all you're seeing is the outside layer of it. But because I have so much cardstock, you guys, I have a ton. I'm not going to worry about it. I just need to use it up, and I can't keep hoarding the papers. That's what I'm doing is, you know, they're so pretty I don't want to use them, but I need to use them. So, but if you are concerned about your supply and you want to stretch your supply, go ahead and take another rectangle and die cut that out, and then you can use that inside piece for another project. But like I said, not worrying about it today. Alright, we're going to go ahead and glue on the next piece. I've created, I feel like I created a lot of more simple cards, and I need to, like, not enough of these layering ones, and I want to create more cards with layers and dimension, and I'm starting to get better at it, I think, because I also do other crafts, like I crochet, I paint, I And I've also recently got into journal making, and journal making I do a lot of collage, and I'm learning to work with layers a little bit more. Same thing with the mixed media. You know, just learning to appreciate layering things together and how it really can change the look of a project. Sorry. Alright, get my little pin back in there right away. And then layer this piece over top. There we go. Alright, so I played with the layout here, and I really like having these two kind of, I'll call them sprigs. Sprigs come down this way and one back behind him. Again, I wanted to try it with the gold embossing. So I've done that off screen just because it took me some time to fussy cut these out. I believe there are dies that go along with these. I didn't get them. I don't mind fussy cutting. I have to be in the right frame of mind, I must admit. So sometimes it's not my favorite, but if I'm in that frame of mind, I don't mind fussy cutting it out. And or you can use like your brother's Scan-A-Cut if you have one of those. So let's go ahead and get this laid up. Yeah, I think I really like, I mean, can you see the difference there? It really ties in, I think, with this gold just so much better. I mean, this isn't bad. Definitely still has that kind of fall feel with our furry friend, but yeah, I just really enjoy the look of this gold embossing. You know, and that's sometimes what happens is I'll be working away on a project, and I kind of fine tune it as I'm making it, or I come up with other ways of creating the card or something that I would do differently. So I'm going to use my tweezers here. These just kind of really help me when I'm putting die cuts on, or, you know, just kind of help keep my hands clean. So that's a battle. Do that. And the next piece. So yeah, you guys will have to let me know down below what you're working on. Like, do you create fall cards or Thanksgiving cards? I do a lot of Christmas and birthdays and thank you. I do a lot of thank you cards. I think it's so important to say thank you, but let me know what you guys do for cards or what you make the most of. Are you a Christmas card person? Any occasion? I also love making just because cards, because who doesn't like getting snail mail? I feel like, you know, our bills are, you know, all that comes in the mail these days are junk mail, and it's so nice to have a little surprise in there. Okay, add this guy right there. I'm going to set that aside to dry, and let's go ahead and work on our sentiment. Oops. I need to bend my pen. Okay. So I'm going to pull in the stamp set. Let's put this away. I am so excited, you guys. I cleaned my craft room. Oh my goodness, does that ever feel good? You know, sometimes it just gets away from me and I have stuff everywhere. I mean, I can't be the only messy crafter. Like, I don't know. It explodes. It really does. Okay. Get this on screen for you guys. And I'm going to be using some craft cardstock. And I want to grab this embossing powder. This is just, you know, either you can use cornstarch or baby powder if you don't have this. Some people have even used dryer sheets over top. This just helps the embossing powder from sticking where you don't want it to. I've never had very good luck with the dryer sheets, so I usually use like an embossing bag buddy or this here. So It really just smells like baby powder. That's probably all that's in it. Alright, and I want to use this sentiment again to my foxy friend because I thought that was so cute. And whenever I'm using or wanting to do black sentiments that are embossed, I never use black embossing powder. It's just way too messy. I never have good luck with it. It always kind of, even when using the embossing buddy bag or the powder, I usually get some off, and then when you heat emboss it, it looks bad. So I always just go with black ink and clear embossing powder. So go ahead and lay that down. Using my Versamark watermark stamp pad. And this is a brand new one. If you saw my last video for Scrap and Stamp, you'll know that I got a new ink pad and it was so exciting. It's the little things, you guys. Again, just using finger pressure on your sentiments, otherwise you squish out the words too much. Oh my goodness, what am I doing? Why did I use Versamark, you guys? I wanted to use a black sentiment. I just got in my head embossing and I used this one. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's okay. We can still go over it. That'll be fine. So I'm going to use this VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. This is my go-to ink for sentiments, and it's usually perfect stamping the first time. I think I've only had to double stamp once, maybe twice, because this ink is so good. Alright, good thing I'm using the stamp platform as well, because I can just go over top. Again, finger pressure. I'm going to bring in my clear embossing powder. There we go. Look at that, it's just perfect. Set this off to the side. And sprinkle it with our clear embossing powder. There we go. I think that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on this right away, just so I don't have an accident, because I'm prone to those. And then we'll bring in our heat gun and melt this all up. That's one of my favorite parts. A little bit of noise. Making sure that heat gun is nice and hot before you bring it to your paper, so as not to warp it too much. Move it around. There we go. Just let that cool a bit. Then I like to take just a microfiber cloth, or you can use like a dried out baby wipe, and just kind of wipe off some of that embossing powder that we used, just because it gives it a bit of a white coating. I want to wipe that off. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and try my luck at cutting this sentiment with my scissors. I find the longer the scissors, hopefully the straighter the line. That's kind of what I think anyways. Hopefully this is straight. Trim it down about there. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Move this off to the side. Bring this back. Now we can, we could use foam tape to pop that up, but I'm just going to adhere it straight down onto, kind of feel like, set on an angle. Well, they both look the same, I guess. This paper's a bit darker, that's okay. Alright, so I'll just go ahead and again use my art glitter glue. And we'll adhere this straight on. Move that out of the way. And there we go. Now the last thing that we need to do is just add the little bow. Now I used some kind of lighter twine for this one. For this next one, I'm thinking of going a little bit darker. Again, just to kind of go with the same tones as that gold. And I'll just tie a quick little knot. Yeah, I think I like this better as well. Maybe I'll tie it a little closer down here. Then I won't have to cut so much off. There we go. Okay, let's get this cleaned up a bit. Alright, and again, I'm just going to use, you can use glossy accents to adhere this down, but I am just going to use my art glitter glue again. It'll dry clear. Add that right on top, and then what I'm actually going to do is use my tweezers just to hold that in place for a little bit while that dries. And then that's really it. I like to keep the inside of my cards blank usually, and that's just so the recipient has lots of space to write. Every now and then I'll add something on the inside, but it has to be the perfect sentiment to go on the inside. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at our 2 cards that we did. So this one again was with the Rusty Hinge Distress Oxide ink in just a lighter twine. I did some double stamping on this fox. This fox here I only stamped once, so he's a bit lighter. So yeah, I think both of them look really great. However, I think I like the tones of this one just a little bit more. So thanks so much for joining me for today's cards. Again, I will link everything over at the Scrap and Stamp blog, which the link will be down below. Again, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and P.S. I love you. I just want to thank you so much for spending your time with me today. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're looking for specific materials that I've used in today's video, go ahead and check out the links down below. As well, I'd really love it if you sent me some snail mail. I'm always interested to know what you guys have been up to and what you've been creating, and I'd love to share your cards on my next video. Thanks so much again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. P.S. I love you.